please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
30 minutes, but let's first start with all the action from the last trade. It was expiry day jitters, and as a result, a volatile session of trade for the markets. But benchmark indices did manage to recover in the last hour of trade to end absolutely flat. So as you can see on your screens, the big drag really came from Reliance Industries, Maruti Suzuki and Axis Bank. But buying in Kotak Mahindra, Infosys and Sun Pharma helped contain some of the losses, at least as far as the blue chip stocks are concerned. Banks also recovered over about 170 points to end the day mildly in the green. Mid caps, though, continued to underperform the benchmark indices to end about 0.5% lower in trade. For the series, though, the Nifty posted its biggest fall since October 2008. That was the markets, but let's get straight to the top corporate focus this evening. The promoters of Fortis Healthcare, Malvinder and Shivendra Singh, have issued a press statement assuring stakeholders in Fortis Healthcare that they are doing whatever it takes to resolve issues plaguing the company. Now, the Singh brothers have asked shareholders to be patient and allow them to share facts for a balanced view. They have given an assurance that they are not going anywhere and will address all issues with the required responsibility. This comes, in fact, a day after Fortis Healthcare Holdings have announced that lenders have invoked 16.1 crore pledged shares of the promoters, bringing down their holding in Fortis Healthcare to about 3%. Out of this 3%, there you go on your screen, 79.5% is also pledged to lenders. So effectively, if these pledged shares amounting to 2.38% are invoked, the Singh brothers will be left with a holding of just about 0.62%. And to put that in context, the shareholding of the Singh brothers stood at 70.28% as of the 30th of September 2016. In fact, my colleague Shireen Bhan caught up with Sandeep Parekh, the founder of FinSec Law Advisors, and Amit Tandon, the MD of IIAS, to understand exactly what the statement by the Singh brothers really means and the implication of this on the company. Take a look.
Now, what do you make of this press statement? They're not providing any information for why they believe that facts have been misrepresented. All they're saying is that these are large, complex matters and we need time to address them, and also trying to allay concerns that they're not fleeing the country or have not fled the country already.
Yeah, so this seems like a classic public relations release, really. Really a press release. So it's I don't any except I think the only thing they seem to be saying here is that we're not fleeing the country. That is an assertion they're making. But beyond that, it's, the allegations are not of failure. Failure is pretty common in business. The allegations are of defalcation of money and removing money through related party transactions. So those are the things which SFI or SEBI and the other regulators are looking at. Of course, they may be not guilty at all, but I think that will be seen only once the investigations are over. It's too early to prejudge in either direction.
What do you make of it, Amit?
Well, first, does it bring closure to any of the charges which have been made regarding the financial transgressions? It doesn't. And the second is, I guess, at this moment, it's just buying time. It doesn't clarify in terms of what has happened. It doesn't clarify what they will do. All they're saying is, look, hang on, it's complicated. Most things are complicated if you are in the business world, but that does not mean that you kind of wait and issue a statement like that. What you're supposed to do is first, try and simplify things to the extent you can, and come up with a solution. And offer a solution to say that, look, we will address things in the fullness of time. It's far more complicated than you imagine, etc. If it's complicated, it's because they've made it so.
Effectively, they have no role to play as far as Fortis Healthcare is concerned. They both tendered in their resignations there. We are given to understand that a TPG Manipal deal with Fortis is being worked out at this point in time. But, what do you believe, what could be the resolution that they're alluding to? Would it be the repayment?
Well, absolutely. It has to be the repayment. If they're saying that they will fulfill all their responsibilities, at this moment they have no responsibility other than fill the hole which has been left in the company. So to the extent they will fill the hole, it is a welcome move. But again, at the end of the day, they're the ones who dug the company in the hole in the first instance. So they are basically correcting for what has happened. Does it mean that their legal liability goes away because they filled the hole? I'm not really sure that that happens. Their legal liability now remains. Having committed an act, they have to pay the consequences.
What do you believe the market regulator is going to be focusing on in this matter?
Since all the news reports seem to suggest that SEBI, SFI, and various other are looking at the factual details of whether any kind of cash has been taken away from any of these group companies, and they will of course have to face the consequences. If they have not, then obviously if they'll be, their press release will be vindicated. So it's, as I said, it's typically a longish process. We're probably looking at several months, unless somebody like SEBI comes out with an ex-parte order, which sometimes it does. So without that in place, I think we're looking at least 6 or 8 months.
Okay, the Singh brothers finally breaking their silence. But let's shift focus to the latest emerging from the Punjab National Bank fraud. The bank today responded to queries sent in by the National and the Bombay Stock Exchanges to a question about how the fraud was initially reported as 280 crore rupees but was subsequently changed to over 11,000 crore rupees. PNB replied that further investigation into the fraud case led to the enhanced amount being disclosed. On the question of why it had not reported the filing of the FIR to the CBI at the time of occurrence, PNB has replied, saying that news in public would have alerted the fraudster and thereby hampered recovery. The bank has also said that it has enough capital to meet the liability decided by the law and has followed all legal avenues to recover its dues. That reply comes on a day that Enforcement Directorate has seized 9 luxury cars belonging to Nirav Modi, including a Rolls-Royce Ghost. It has also freezed mutual funds and shares worth 7.8 crore rupees belonging to Modi and over 86 crore rupees belonging to Mehul Chokshi. However, the CBI has meanwhile said that Vipul Ambani, who is the president for finance at the Modi's Firestar Group, was indeed aware of illegal LOUs, which is letter of undertakings, allegedly issued by PNB employee Gokulnath Shetty. Okay, that's the latest as far as the PNB issue is concerned. We will of course get you some more details on India Business Hour, so stay tuned for that. But for now, let's shift focus completely to a CNBC TV18 exclusive interview. The focus is on investing in India, not on profits, a categorical assertion coming in from the global CEO of Uber. CNBC TV18 held a special town hall at IIT Delhi, where Dara interacted with students in what was a freewheeling conversation. Uber CEO also said that he wants India to become the second tech center for the company outside of the Silicon Valley. When asked about SoftBank being the key investor for both Uber and Ola, Dara said, for Masayoshi Son, it is not Ola versus Uber, it's Ola plus Uber against car ownership. He also opened up on the rivalry with Ola, which he believes helps the company build better products. From getting bullied by siblings at home to his admiration for Jeff Bezos, the Uber CEO was at his candid best. Here is his interview with Shireen Bhan.
I want to make a big bet in India. I think the talent pool here is extraordinary. I think the work ethic here is terrific. I think people are hungry to succeed. I love the entrepreneurial energy in India. So I want India to be our second tech center. San Francisco is the headquarters, but India is going to be a very, very tech center. And who knows, maybe 10 years from now, India will be our first tech center. We'll see.
What's the hiring plan here?
Multiples of where we are now. Multiples of where we are. I'm pushing our teams hard.
Who is the leader that inspires you today?
I think Jeff Bezos is an incredible leader for Amazon. I think he's built a founder who can scale the way that he's scaled, a founder who can succeed across different products that he's built, and a founder who takes failure in stride and just keeps innovating is someone who is worthy of great admiration. If we can be the Amazon of mobility, then I think we have a win on our hands.
Outside of what happens on the balance sheet front, what are going to be the other considerations that will decide the timing of the IPO?
I think the most important consideration is actually the market conditions. And then also the systems that we have internally. This is a company that's been growing incredibly quickly. and we've been very focused on our product. What's our product like to our driver partners? What does our product look like to the users? The algorithms, the very sophisticated algorithms that are about matching supply and demand and pricing. We've been very outwardly product focused. As you think about putting the frameworks together to take a company public, you actually have to invest in your systems, in your accounting systems, estimates, et cetera. A lot of stuff that doesn't necessarily add consumer or driver value, but is necessary for a company to go public so that you can report in a timely manner. Business part of our company is right on track for an IPO.
Okay, so if the focus was on product, is the focus now shifting more to profit as well?
I don't want to sacrifice growth, and I certainly don't intend to sacrifice innovation. And that's what I was saying, which is we have to be careful not to turn to profits too quickly. We are actually investing quite aggressively this year because if you look at the market that we're addressing, we announced this last quarter that we're at a $40 billion bookings run rate, growing revenue over 100%. There are very few companies of our size that are at our scale, still growing revenue at 100+%. But when you step back, we are competing in the transportation space. This is a $5 trillion marketplace that we're going after, and we account for less than 1% of that market. So you will find me investing as much as I can humanly get away with and still go public. In India, actually, we continue to invest, and we consider that absolutely a core market. So we're going to lean forward.
You have an interesting situation in India where SoftBank is also the largest shareholder of your fiercest competitor, Ola.
Yes.
So how does it all work?
Well, you'll have to ask them that question. I think, listen, SoftBank is a very big picture investor. And when I talk to Masa about his beliefs, Masa's core belief is that the ride-sharing space is a space that's going to grow. So I think SoftBank isn't thinking about Ola versus Uber. SoftBank is thinking about Ola and Uber versus car ownership, and I think that's a pretty darn good bet.
But still, I mean, from a practical perspective, you're competing with them in a market like India. You know, SoftBank clearly putting big money into Ola as well, which it's using against Uber to compete in a market like India. What's the conversation that you then have with Masa?
But I view this as we're not spending against Ola, we're spending against car ownership. We are actually building mobility as a service. And I think our competing with Ola, it's a healthy competition because it forces us to improve our product, it forces us to be innovative, it forces us to reduce prices, and ultimately that's going to come at the cost of car ownership.
Well, that's a heady cocktail with Ola and Uber competing against car ownership. We'll have to take a very, very short break. But on the other side, after building the IT infrastructure for Aadhaar and GST network, Nandan Nilekani could be involved in a new assignment with the government. Details on the other side. Don't go anywhere. With what's hot on CNBC TV18. Now let's get your CNBC TV18 exclusive. After building the IT infrastructure for Aadhaar as well as the GST network, Nandan Nilekani could be involved in a new assignment with the government. This time he could help to build the infrastructure necessary to roll out the government's flagship announcement in the budget, the National Health Protection Scheme. Rituparna Bhoya is here with exclusive details. Hi Ritu. Nilekani's resume is very clearly only getting longer, but what is the plan as far as this specific healthcare mission is concerned?
The National Health Protection Scheme will have a very robust IT infrastructure in the back end because this IT network will connect the National Health Board, which will be at the core of NHPS, with the data regarding beneficiaries, as well as to the primary health centers, which will be carrying forward this scheme at a ground level, and also with different schemes offered by packages offered by the health insurance companies participating in NHPS. We have now been told by our sources that the government will be seeking feedback from Mr. Nandan Nilekani regarding setting up of this IT infrastructure. In fact, one meeting has already happened regarding this, where Mr. Nilekani and officials of Niti Aayog, Health Ministry and NIC huddled up to discuss the initial contours of this IT infrastructure. As of now, however, we do not know in what capacity he will be continuing to advise the government regarding setting up as well as designing this IT infrastructure. But we have also been told by our sources that the government is now giving final touches to a cabinet note which will formalize the structure of the NHPS, and this cabinet note is likely to be taken to the cabinet for approval in the next couple of weeks. With that, it's back to you.
Okay, Ritu, we'll be, of course, waiting for that cabinet note. But speaking of Nandan Nilekani, here's another important space as far as Infosys is concerned. There's a new twist in the Rajiv Bansal severance pay controversy. Infosys has now claimed that the former CFO breached trust and confidentiality, and the IT giant has sought a hefty sum in counterclaims. Remember, till now, this was being completely denied by Infosys. Rukmini now, who broke that story, joins in now with exclusive details. Rukmini, it has been around a year since this tussle started, and now there is a fresh twist. Why is a counterclaim being filed only now?
Like you rightly pointed out, Rajiv Bansal, the former CFO of Infosys, has been fighting this arbitration battle for close to 1 year now to secure outstanding amount of close to 12 crores that was a part of his severance pay, which the company had withheld owing to certain clarifications. In fact, Infosys had paid him out 5 crores out of the total 17.38 crores, which was a part of his severance. Now, what we have learned from our sources is that Infosys has, in fact, put in a counterclaim in this entire arbitration, seeking over 100 crores. In fact, sources have told us that the company is looking to be compensated for close to 135 crores for breach of trust and confidentiality on part of Rajiv Bansal. When reached out to comments on the story, Infosys said that they do not have any comments to offer on this story. However, since the arbitration process headed by the former Supreme Court Justice Ravindran is still on, it'll be very interesting to see what the final award of this arbitration is going to be and what it might entail both the parties involved in this matter. Back to you.
Okay, Rukmini, we'll leave it at that, but take a look at the flashes on your screen. This is a big developing story as far as the PNB issue is concerned, and we have been tracking this from day one. We understand that the Mumbai office of the Enforcement Directorate has received an email from Nirav Modi. Let's figure out what that has. Utkarsh Chaturvedi is here with details. Utkarsh, you have been communicating with the Enforcement Directorate. What exactly is in that letter, and how is it different from the letter that has been sent to PNB already?
So basically two things in the letter. One is expressing his inability to come before the ED. Remember, it is the 22nd today, and this is the last date of the first summon which was sent to Nirav Modi. And secondly, what he has stated as a reason is that he is busy with his work and trying to get the money. And that is what he has stated in the letter to Enforcement Directorate. But ED will do its job. ED will go ahead and issue the second summon to Nirav Modi. Remember that if you go, they have to follow the protocol, and the protocol says that you have to issue for 3 summons, and then you can really go for a red corner notice and the extradition of the other person. But interesting, Kritika, is the fact that he has gone ahead and written a letter. If anyhow he was not willing to come, he would have really not written the letter, but still the whole process would have followed. So the fact that he has gone ahead and communicated, like Malla never really communicated with the Enforcement Directorate about his coming or not, but the fact that Nirav Modi 22nd was the date today. So he has written a letter. He has said that he is busy with business and he might not be able to come. Obviously, ED will follow the protocol, will go ahead and issue the second summons, and we'll have to wait whether he really comes to the second summon, comes and appears before ED when it comes to the second summon as well. Now, as I said, the more interesting part is the fact that he thought of communicating back to the Enforcement Directorate. If he never wanted to come back, we are obviously overthinking here, but he would have done with not writing the letter as well, and the protocol would have followed.
No, we get that. Do we have any idea on when the fresh summons will be given out, Utkarsh?
So it can be anytime soon. Look, it is more of a procedural process. We can really see ED anytime issuing the second summons. The second summons will also have a date of 14 days because that's the protocol which Enforcement Directorate has to follow before issuing the red corner notice. So again, they have to wait for this 14-20 days and then the third summon goes on. So they have to do the whole procedure and then only they can really approach the courts for the extradition process. We have seen in the case of Mallya how difficult and how tiresome it is when it comes to the procedural way of getting somebody back. So obviously, when it comes to Nirav Modi, the battle for the agencies has just started.
You know, I always think it's unfair to compare Mallya and Modi, but I get the point that you're making, Utkarsh. The fact is that he has made a communication with the Enforcement Directorate. Let's move on from this story. We'll, of course, revisit the story on India Business Hour. But for now, let's talk about the big political story of the day. War of words broke out after Army Chief Bipin Rawat said that All India Democratic Front is growing faster than BJP in Assam. He added that the AIUDF was connected to the increasing influx of Bangladeshi immigrants in Assam. AIUDF MLA Aminul Islam reacted to this and said that BJP is spreading communalism while his party is maintaining a secular face. Meanwhile, Indian Army has clarified that the Army Chief's remarks were not in any political or religious taste.
There is a party called AIUDF. If you look at, they have grown in a faster time frame than with the BJP grew over the years. There is an identity problem with people in the Northeast. We've got to overcome this problem. They are very much part of our country. We have to integrate them with us. And unless development doesn't happen holistically, this problem will remain. We will have more trouble in segregating people, identifying people. Yes, some people have to be identified who are creating trouble for us, who are illegal immigrants. Amalgamating these people with us is not a very complex problem. I think if we are able to identify the issues and move forward, we will get a solution.
It's a great sign for the people of Assam that AIUDF is purely a secular party and AIUDF is working for the downtrodden and deprived section of people. BJP is a communal party and the agenda taken by BJP is mainly for Hinduism.
I expect the war of words to continue over the next few days. But with that, we're completely out of time on this edition of What's Hot. Many thanks for watching the show. The Nifty posted its biggest fall in a series since October 2008. Benchmark indices saw a late recovery and ended flat in today's trade. This and much more on the other side of this very short break, as you will watch markets, all the market action on Markets Today Talk Back. And we'll be back in 30 minutes with India Business Hour and the top stories of today. Don't go anywhere.